to welcome everyone to the 4th Philomenian. I'm the MC tonight, Jim Smith. I'll tell you who I am later, or maybe not. We've got a great Philomenian tonight. If you haven't been to one before, the Philomenian is all things Philomene Long. And we look at this as a long-term project based on our belief that Philomene is just going to become more popular and more relevant as time goes by. And there's so much of Philomene's legacy that is not yet exposed to the public. And we're trying to change that. And tonight, we've got a special treat, and that is a new book written by Philomene, Memoirs of a Nun on Fire, which you may have seen in the lobby, and I hope you buy a copy before you go. And so the bulk of the evening is going to be taken up with discussion of when Philomene was a nun. Did I mention that Pegarty Long is the director of that film? And it's a great compilation, I think, of Philomene's life. We're going to have 3 short poems about Philomene. The first one's by Kaye. We launched her poetry book, Hour of the Moon, right here in this room just last month. But she's been writing poetry for a long time. And she's going to read her poem in memory of Philomene Long.
Thank you, Jim. Happy birthday, Pegarty. Congratulations on your book. Before I read the poem, I just wanted to say it first happened 15 years ago. It was my habit to walk along the beach. You have to imagine a bright, hot, summer Southern California day. Surfboards, bikinis, coconut butter, everything in Technicolor. And I see in the distance 2 figures approaching. They're dressed entirely in black, intense, austere, and serious, and look as much out of place in all this as James Joyce working out at Gold's Gym. I thought to myself, there's only one possible explanation. The 2 are so absorbed in their conversation, they don't realize that a magic spell has transported them from Ireland to Venice. 2 Irish vamps materialized west. I was fascinated. Who are these 2 obviously special people? I saw them on other walks. Sometimes they walked together, sometimes 30 feet apart. But the connection between them was very evident, like a high voltage current. Years later, I had the privilege of meeting Pegarty and Philomene and finding out how special they are. It is very fitting that Pegarty has named her memoir Philomene, Nun on Fire. And also fitting that this poem I wrote for Philomene emanates from her spirit of fire and her passionate spiritual quest. And here's the poem. In memory of Philomene Long, Holy Mother, Church of God, speaks through her, and the blood of Christ, and the blood of children, speak through her. Holy Mother, Church of ocean, sky, and birds, speaks through her, speaks through her. And she, having once taken the hand of Christ, has now gone free. She asked, and she did receive the blood of Christ, and the knowing, and the blood of children, and the knowing, and the blood of vampires, sucking the earth dry with greed. These things she saw, these things she knew, these things she carried like the cross she wore around her neck. These things she sang about in a voice that carried in a fallen, beautiful world. Thank you.
I was mesmerized by that and forgot to come back to the podium. Harry Northup is an actor and a poet. He's acted in 37 films, including Taxi Driver and The Silence of the Lambs. His 10th book of poetry, Where Bodies Again Recline, has just been published. And is it available here, Harry?
Not yet.
Okay. Please come up.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Pegarty. What a blessing to be a wonderful poet. I'm talking about Philomene, have a wonderful filmmaker as a sister, and to be married to a superb poet, John Thomas. Poet ascends from the steps in memory of Philomene Long. Arms around, physical, the four of us, friends for 40 years, on the steps of a church, occasion, death, bowl, clay, imperfect, shining, imperceptible cracks, not the empty space inside the tea bowl, but the human material, transient, emptiness filled with love for family, for God, for friends, and most important of all, love for yourself. Remembrance, the third. Be a rememberer. Tell stories. Keep humility alive. In the darkness, amidst the swinging incense, I saw her figure, dressed in white, head bowed, hands formed in prayer. The larger poet cooked a ham for the four of us. The steps were across from a park where my son and I had played basketball, where he had slid down a slide, climbed the monkey bars, swung. We were all quiet in Santa Monica, on 7th in California. We listened to the praises, celestial. As usual, the poet got more ink on the obit page than she ever got in the LA Times book review. She stood in front of a wall with her poem engraved on it. A massive heart attack caused her death, 15 seconds of pain. She had written well of funerals with real physical details, finally observed. Yes, she was romantic. Yes, she wrote with an expanding spiritual sense. Yes, she had long black hair like a raven. Yes, yes.
Thank you, Harry. We'll hear more of that voice in a while, fortunately. Our third and last poem is by Jim Smith. And he says he's a human who writes poetry and is the janitor at the local newspaper, the Is that right, Jeff? Yes, thank you very much. This is a new poem called Seems Like Yesterday to Philomene. Seems like yesterday you were going over the wall at St. Mary's Convent. Seems like yesterday you and Stuart were arm in arm down Oceanfront Walk. Seems like yesterday you were making films and taking poetry to new heights. Seems like yesterday you and John. Seems like yesterday you were our Poet Laureate of Venice. Seems like yesterday you read to the LA City Council about Venice independence. Seems like yesterday we sat at Fig Trees Cafe. You laughed and wrote. Seems like yesterday we talked for hours about the absurdity of the universe. It was yesterday and today that you are in my thoughts and your words guide us all. Next, we're going to have a short video about Philomene's life, early life, and the convent life. And I want to add that this is directed by Pegarty Long and produced by Pegarty Long. So, Jem, can we dim the house?